guys! Today I thought we'd get comfortable here on this couch and talk about achieving goals. I'm sure you felt this before where you're just not seeing the results to your hard work and well, it gets a bit frustrating. You know, by now you're supposed to see some results because you put in a lot of hard work and long hours, but it's just not reflecting that. And then you look at other people and they're just doing fantastic, way ahead of you. And you start feeling like it's personal now, like you're the one doing something wrong here and that you're the only one who's not getting it. Then your thoughts start spiraling down to maybe I'm just someone who's not cut out for something like this. You know, right? Like, you know what I'm saying. Come on, don't lie. We all know this feeling, right? No? Only me? Well, the truth is, I've been feeling like that these days about my work. And the advice that's usually given is to just push through, be persistent, and white knuckle our way through it. And well, I do wonder if that's really the best thing. You see, that has never worked for me. Now, the dominant mindset of achieving goals is to use brute force, zone in on results, and work aggressively, despite your body's conditions, mental state, or etc. It's about single-mindedly focusing on your goals and using sweat, tears, and blood to go after it, day in and day out, fighting and conquering yourself each step of the way. But for me, this approach never really worked. It's just not sustainable for me. This aggressive kind of mindset assumes that everything else is in resistance to me, and it's up to me and me alone to push forward and make it happen. And this kind of aggressive energy never worked for me. If I think about all the instances where I was successful, I achieved it a little differently than the conventional way. I always connected to the project at hand, be in the flow, enter into the timeless zone. That is, it was more about surrendering than it was about pushing things to happen. For example, I was a good student in middle school and in high school, getting straight A's, being in the top 1% of my class, and all that. And the reason I was a good student was not because of long hours of hard work, but because I was able to connect with the learning material and be in the zone. Whatever subject it was, be it history, physics, or calculus, I would just read through the textbook, connect with the material, and then absorb the information seamlessly in the flow state. I remember when I wanted to enter the flow state, I'd sort of empty my mind and then be present with the material. I know it sounds counterintuitive because you're not really focusing on your goal, but you know, that's actually how I did it. But for SATs, I was sent to an SAT school where the teacher taught us a bunch of quick tips and tricks and used rote memorization, all with the focus of getting a high score. In other words, it was aggressive and cold and focused solely on results. We did practice questions for hours and hours, trying to perfect our use of tips, tricks, and strategies. There was zero connecting with the material or entering the flow state. Anyway, I ended up doing okay on the SATs, but honestly, I didn't get that high of a score as I would have liked. Maybe slightly above average, I don't know. I mean, in retrospect, the method that was taught at the SAT school just didn't agree with me. If I had studied the SAT on my own, I would have just used my method, which was to connect with the material. And if I had, I think I would have gotten a higher score. But at the time, I thought I was in the wrong and the teacher's way was right. When I entered the corporate world, it was the same there as it was in the SAT school. The focus was on producing quick results. So we were all pushed to strategize, cut corners, and work long and hard, and be constantly in the middle of producing. There was no time for contemplation or creative thinking / problem solving. It was all about saving time, producing results that'll solve the problem for now. Needless to say, I didn't do so well at the corporate setting either. Again, my work was okay, slightly above mediocre, but nothing groundbreaking. Healing from this mentality. After I left the corporate world, I had a lot of healing to do around this. You see, over the years, I've been conditioned to believe that the aggressive way of achieving goals was the right way and the only way to achieve anything in life. And I had just assumed that my way, the softer, the lighter, the more connected way of achieving goals, was wrong. But after I left the corporate world, I began to think deeply about where it all went wrong, why I always felt like I was running 1,000 miles a minute. Why was I always so anxious, and why did I have a massive problem with procrastination? By the way, I did talk about my problem with procrastination in my video titled Procrastination if you're curious. Anyway, back to my thought. When I thought about it, I realized that in all the incidences I recounted where I used the aggressive method, I was never successful. The result was always just okay, mediocre, or, slightly above average at best. I mean, if it was a grade, then it would be a solid B. And what's more is, using the aggressive method, I developed problems with self-esteem and mental health. But then this left me wondering, what then was the right way? The realization came one day while walking. Let me tell you the whole story. A few times a week, I walk to the grocery store with a backpack and buy 2 gallons of water and veggies for my pet bunny. The whole trip is about 3 miles, so I like doing this as a form of exercise, but also just for my enjoyment. Anyway, I decided to go on the same walk, only this time, I had some resistance. My mind was just not up for lugging back 2 gallons of water, which could get heavy, and walking 3 miles, well, you know how it is. But I decided to go anyways because I was out of veggies for my bunny, so, I went. I started to walk and I zoned out, as we all do when we're walking. I was just thinking about random things like the work I was setting up, the nice warm spring weather, and, just having a grand old time thinking about random things. And the next thing I knew, an hour had passed and I was already back at home. I had gone to the grocery store and had come back home completely automatically. I hadn't even felt the heaviness of the water. My body had been on autopilot mode and it did the work for me. And in no time, the chore I had set out to do was done. I didn't even notice any discomfort. I just entered into a timeless flow where I was just enjoying looking at the things and thinking about stuff, and yeah. In other words, I got out of my own way. And I realized that if I had kept my focus on my goal, which was hitting the grocery store and back, I would have complained all the way over there, feeling how heavy the load was, looking at the time to see how much time has passed, and just feeling impatient overall. I would have had to fight myself each step of the way. But instead, time passed by so quickly and I had reached my destination so easily. And that's when I realized that this was the method I used to use when achieving goals. I remembered that after setting a goal and a direction, I'd get out of my own way. Remember how I said earlier that I would empty my mind to enter the flow state? That's what that was. I wouldn't focus on reaching my goals or what'll happen after I reach my goals. In this timeless state, my body and mind would work automatically and without resistance. And I would just witness everything coming together seamlessly and gracefully. And by the time I snap out of it and become aware of my surrounding, I would have reached my goal for the day almost automatically and easily. And with my method, I always, without fail, got fantastic results. Results that I was proud of. I would knock it out of the park and something brilliant and creative would be born. That walk made me remember my method of achieving things, which was much more graceful than the approach that's being pushed nowadays. In conclusion, ultimately, I think our culture got it wrong. I think there are people who enjoy going after their goals aggressively, testing their might, competing with others, and winning and losing, and all that Spartan mindset stuff. But then there are people like me where that approach is completely the antithesis of our energy. I'm more of a person who glides and surrenders to the bigger wheel, and just someone who enjoys being in the flow of it. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think one way is necessarily better than the other way. But unfortunately, though, we're constantly bombarded with the message that if we want to achieve anything in life, we need to work hard, focus on our goals, and aggressively work toward it, as if this is the only way. And that's where my problem lies. But it's not true. To say that working hard works for everyone is like saying that one type of diet works for all types of body. No, it doesn't. Anyway, I told you what works for me, so tell me what works for you in the comments. I'm really curious. Are there people out there who use my method, or maybe your method is completely different from the two I talked about? I'm really curious, so let me know in the comment section. Like always, I really hope you enjoyed our little talk today. And thank you. Truly, thank you for watching my video. Hopefully, I see you back here in my next video. Regards, Ray.